I saw this week a couple of one, I guess we could say like Big 12 predictions out there. Athlon was out there. Athlon has K-State at number 13 in the country, which is best in the Big 12, just ahead of Arizona State, who's at 14. And then we got Kelly Ford's analysis on the Big 12. So Kelly Ford has one of the statistical models, definitely becoming one of the more respected numbers guys out there in college football. And he has K-State as the most likely to win the Big 12, has them with the most likely chance to win 9+ games. The only team in the Big 12 that was over a 50% chance, I believe, to win 9 games. So, there's a lot of hype coming around here for the Cats. I will just be honest. I think we checked in on this maybe like a month ago, and I said, I'm kind of surprised. Feels like there's a lot of love for this team out there. I mean, I understand. I think some of it is just name notoriety from the last few years. I mean, this will be like the 4th straight year that you've had, 3rd straight year for sure, that you've had quite a bit of hype going into the preseason and then tacking on that. That was coming off the heels of a Big 12 championship. So there's just some name value and brand equity built up over the last 4 years. But you also have a high-profile quarterback in Avery Johnson, which, even as inconsistent as he was last year, this is somebody that people have already familiarized themselves with. Now, that doesn't mean anything for like Kelly Ford's numbers, right? Okay, so you can kind of take that away from the conversation. But there still continues to be this real groundswell of a lot of hype for this team, and I kind of thought this might be a year where the offseason was a little bit more just faded some of that a little bit from the last few years, teams or people fading K-State, and instead kind of the opposite, man. I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing, but my inclination is almost to be like, it would have been nice to have a year of playing the underdog card, but it doesn't really seem like that's happening.
Yeah, and you know what? For whatever reason, the advanced models, they have loved K-State and Chris Kleiman for a few years now, John. I mean, now K-State obviously finished last season 27th nationally in Kelly Ford's power ratings at the conclusion of the season, but in the preseason metrics, they were the pick to win the Big 12, I believe, last season as well. They finished 11th in the country in Kelly Ford's power ratings in 2023. They finished 12th in 2022. Bill Connolly's numbers were very similar when you look at the SP Plus rankings from him over the last few years in the 2024 preseason SP Plus rankings. So with his formula, you can actually go back and look at the preseason rankings historically. 2024, they came in number 17 nationally with Utah right on their heels at 18th. So for the top mark in the Big 12, 2023 preseason SP Plus ranking, K-State was 20th. TCU was 21st. You, of course, had Oklahoma and Texas ahead of K-State at that time, as they were still in the Big 12. So if you look at the numbers, and Brian Freemo, who does the FEI rankings, who I had on the show last year, in addition to Kelly Ford, who we've had on a couple times, he had K-State in his FEI rankings in 2021. Even when they went 8-5, they finished as the number 13 team in the country after that season. They finished number 10 nationally in 2022 in the FEI, number 10 in the country again in 2023, and then number 30 after last season. But when I had Freemo on the show last year, one of the reasons I had him on, obviously, I always have checked his work and really respect his work. But what was so interesting was K-State was the one of like 7 teams in the country to finish in the top 15 of his FEI rankings, I think 4 consecutive seasons. And it was like Alabama, Oregon, Michigan. I mean, it was the bluest of bloods of college football, the perennial powers. And then there was K-State. And yet it felt like K-State hadn't quite achieved the same similar level of success as some of those other teams that were among those like 7 or 8 teams in that spectrum. And so the models really like K-State, and this year it's no different. Kelly Ford's got them ranked 20th in his power ratings nationally. Arizona State is the second best at number 23. Texas Tech's 27th. BYU's 30th. Iowa State is 37th, and his model projects K-State to win 6.2 Big 12 games. Doesn't sound like a great season, right? An elite season to win the Big 12, 6-3. That would be what K-State did in 2023. Didn't win the Big 12. Last year, they were 5-4 in the league. But the 6.2 games projected wins in the Big 12 would be the most in the league. Arizona State, second most at 5.8 projected wins. BYU, 5.5. Texas Tech, 5.5. TCU, 5.3. And Baylor, 5.3. KU and Utah each at 5. John, I found it interesting. A lot of the models don't love Iowa State. Iowa State, 4.9 Big 12 projected wins.
Which I I mean, I don't really agree with as much as I, hate to admit it. Yeah, Kelly Ford has him at 8th in the Big 12, which, I mean, there's literally a difference of less than 2 games between number 1 and number 9. I guess 2 games even between number 1 and number 9, K-State and Baylor, which is another one I would disagree with pretty vehemently with Kelly Ford's model there. So there's not a lot of room between all those. That's kind of the point with the Big 12. But yeah, man, I don't know. I was kind of doing an inventory last night of like, all right, if there's teams that you're looking at what the projections are right now that you would want to like buy stock in, like teams where there's a lot of value in, I feel like Baylor, TCU, maybe Iowa State. I think a lot of the humans are a lot higher on Iowa State than the computers right now, so it's not quite as much there. But like Baylor, TCU, is like there's a lot of value there. And I mean, if there's one team in the Big 12 that I would look at and say, well, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of value in buying stock there. You can think K-State is going to be very good. This is not a statement on what I think K-State is going to be as a team, but I don't feel like there's a whole lot of value if you're trying to buy stock in what K-State is right now, because they're pretty damn high already. And look, there are just enough question marks out there still for this team to answer that I don't know that I would feel great investing a ton of money in them being the Big 12 favorites right now, just if we're being honest.
Yeah, if you're going to buy low on team, John, Iowa State, Baylor, and then Utah, probably, right? I mean, those are the teams.
Yeah, Utah, I guess. Utah, I feel like Utah's gotten a decent amount of respect, though. Like, I mean, they're 5th from Kelly Ford. Like, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Phil Steele has him in the championship game.
Oh, wow. It's a big jump. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I still, obviously, I think that game at Utah for Kansas State is going to be extremely challenging. In fact, if you look at how Kelly Ford breaks it down, John, because he gives win probabilities for each game. By the way, you mentioned some of the percentages earlier. K-State is the only team in the 16 teams in the league to be projected to have a 50% chance or better in each of their 12 games in the regular season this year. Now, that doesn't mean, obviously, that he projects K-State to win all 12 games, because some of those games with the mathematical formulas and the percentages where they have like a 53 or 56% chance to win, the odds will tell you they're going to lose a couple of those games. And so that's why he has them right around 9 wins, which would be the top mark in the Big 12 based off his projection and win the league. But gives K-State a 65% chance to defeat Iowa State and Ireland, a 93% chance to defeat Army, 79% at Arizona. Baylor at 56% is the second hardest game in terms of win probability for K-State. And to the subject of Utah, John, at Utah is K-State's hardest win in terms of probability at 53%. In fact, I was looking ahead at the DraftKings betting lines, John, and that game is actually out there. You can look at the futures line at DraftKings. K-State is projected as a 1.5 point favorite at that game at Utah. KU on the road, 59% win probability. TCU at home, 72%. UCF, 85%. Texas Tech in Manhattan, 71%. Oklahoma State and Stillwater, 76%. And Colorado in Manhattan to conclude the season at 84% in terms of win probabilities, just to give you guys a sampling of what they project there as far as the hardest games on K-State's schedule. K-State's also a projected 4-point favorite at KU. Don't know what you think of some of those betting lines, John. K-State minus 3.5 against Iowa State and Ireland, according to DraftKings.
Yeah, man, I'm thinking about that. I guess in terms of win probability, do you think it's fair to put the Iowa State and Kansas games basically right at the same level there?
I think
which
probably,
one in?
Yeah. Gosh. Well, those two have been such a thorn in K-State's side, especially KU the last couple of years. Iowa State really the entirety of the Chris Kleiman era.
Well, I don't know. Can you be a thorn if you're never actually winning? Like, is that?
Well, relatively speaking, when we think about the dominance over KU during the 16-game winning streak and just how the last 2 games shook out, that, felt like K-State could lose both of those games. And fortunately, they ended up finding ways to win. But so I guess I get your point. Not necessarily a complete thorn in their side, obviously, but at KU, with the way the last 2 games have played out, I'd still probably say Iowa State a little more nerve-wracking, neutral site game. Obviously, you gave up a home game for it. And just because Iowa State and the success they've had and what they've got a quarterback in Rocco back. They obviously, KU's got Jalen Daniels, but I feel like Iowa State's probably got a little bit more depth and returning production than what KU does. So I'll say Iowa State makes me a little bit more nervous, but both games will be challenging.
Iowa State makes me way more nervous, just to be honest. I mean, the KU game's going to be tough for sure. I don't know, assuming that they get that stadium done by then, we'll see. Iowa State, I don't know. That game, I don't feel good about at all. I think I've made that very loud and clear. Anybody on the Discord knows that. Patreon.com/30ma. Anybody who listens to this show probably knows that. I definitely am very worried about that game. Plus, it's just like, I feel like that game will have such an effect on the season. I mean, not that the Kansas game can't, but because it's the first game of the year, I mean, it's going to really set the tone for where this season is going. I do want to make this point. Let me pull back up the Kelly Ford stats here. So 63% chance of 9 or more wins. So everybody on the Discord, patreon.com/3ma, all you chuckleheads with your 8-4 jokes. All right. Kelly Ford says better than 50-50 shot. You're wrong. 63% chance the K-State wins 9+ games.
Yep. 13% chance to go 11-1. 2% chance to go 12-0, and 84% likelihood that they win 8 games or more, which they've done in the regular season each of the last couple of years. John, I would also just say, like, the ESPN's FPI, their football power index, it projects K-State to have the best record in the Big 12, and similar to Kelly Ford's numbers, not far off, projects K-State with 8.6 wins overall, with Arizona State at 8.3, BYU at 8, Texas Tech and KU each at 7.9. KU and Texas Tech is 7.9, John. KU's up there right around 5th, according to the FPI. And interesting, not as high on Utah. Have them behind Colorado at 11th in the Big 12 with 6.4 wins.
I'm still just with Kansas. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential there, but those receivers were really good, and Devin Neal was really, really good. I need to see that they're going to have the weaponry around Jalen Daniels on offense to make that thing work. I mean, I think they got some addition by subtraction for sure with their offensive coordinator, with the change that has happened there. So I am more confident that they will start the year in a better rhythm than they did last year. But I have no problem with putting them up there. I mean, Kelly Ford's model had them at 7.1 wins. So pretty similar, 7.1, 7.9. You're going to get, I think, a lot of that sort of range for the Hawks.